everyone, and welcome back to another video. This is I-DLE, and we're all reaching that time of year where we start reflecting back on 2022 and picking out the highs and the lows. In this video, both me and Jekyll independently picked 5 comebacks which we thought were the most overrated. Each pick reflects our individual opinion, and it's entirely possible that Jekyll really enjoyed some of the tracks that I selected as the most overrated. So as you're watching, it might be fun to gauge who you agree with more. Make sure to keep watching till the end of the video where we will discuss the track which appeared on both of our lists. Without further ado, let's get into my first pick. So to start this video off with quite a controversial take, I've selected Pop, the solo debut of Nayeon from Twice, as one of the most overrated comebacks of the year. Okay, so I know what you must be thinking. I hate fun. You're not wrong, but even if I was the type who's into smiles, giggles, and rainbows, I still wouldn't like this song. I don't find the chorus melody particularly catchy, which is a core requirement for color pop songs like this. Except for the post-chorus, the song maintains the same high-energy, bubbly character throughout its entire runtime. The bridge really suffers from this stagnation and has a very weird talking segment, which is difficult to get behind. There's also weird mixing in the verses and chorus, which makes the vocals sound doubled and kind of abrasive and upfront. I don't think Pop is terrible. On the contrary, it's a perfectly adequate, cute K-pop song. However, I think fans hold it on too high of a pedestal, and I don't understand how it is innovative or particularly remarkable. Honestly, I would listen to most of Twice's cute title tracks over Pop.
Hi y'all, Jekyll here, and my first pick is Xiumin's first solo release, Brand New. So when the first announcements for this solo release dropped, I was super excited. EXO solos are usually pretty good, and I'm extremely EXO starved, so any and all new content from them would immediately grab my attention. That being said, Brand New just doesn't really match the standard that the other EXO solos have set. Obviously, that's a really high bar that was set pretty much at the beginning with UN Village, but I just feel like when compared to the other members' solo work, Brand New is an obvious outlier. I like the vocals in the verses, and the pre-chorus has some interesting progressions, but the chorus is so incredibly annoying. Shouted, chanty choruses are right at the bottom of the list in terms of my music taste, and the vocal production on this one is especially abrasive. Next to the prettier lines in the verses and pre-chorus, it just feels like a totally different song. Don't get me wrong, there are good things about this release. I just feel like it wasn't as clean as it could have been, and I'm definitely hoping for better Xiumin releases in the future.
Hyde back with my second pick, and this is another disappointing female solo debut. Chae-yeon definitely deserved better. The problems with this track are fundamental and begin with its concept and soundscape. The soundscape WM chose for Hush Rush is so unoriginal. I can think of at least 5 other female soloists who could easily relate this song. It doesn't play to Chae-yeon's strengths and doesn't show off her character or individuality. Basically, there's nothing which would induce anyone new to stan her after this release. In terms of more specific details, the female vocal sample used throughout the track is grating. The chorus is sparse, and the top line is so empty that it sounds like a first draft instead of a fully developed track. The bridge brings a nice change of energy, and Chae-yeon's delivery lends a nice character, but the transition into the final chorus is very awkward and ham-fisted. This means the song ends on exactly the same energy level as it started. The track doesn't build or move anywhere. All in all, I hoped for a lot more from Chae-yeon's debut.
Yeah, I'm Tomboy.
Jekyll here with I-DLE's Tomboy. I'm not a huge fan of rock as a genre, but the issue that I have with this song is that on top of its stagnant production, it just doesn't really do enough. The lyrics are meant to be provocative, but the intense English saturation is bland, and I find that the lyrics often run the risk of being too weak for what they're trying to say. Soyeon's rap, with its simpler rhythms and English slant rhymes like TikTok and ping pong, is especially disappointing. For the message this song is trying to convey, rock is a choice that I think makes sense. And some of it is executed well. I think the first verse does a particularly good job of opening the track and moving it into the more energetic sections. However, the way Tomboy is as a whole just feels way too one note. After the first verse, it doesn't really try to do anything different, sticking faithfully to the drum set and rock guitar heavy production for a little too long to be interesting. The use of English lyrics sacrifices meaning for impact, and in a song full of moments that I can see are meant to be individually impactful, really none of it just hits hard enough to stick with me as a whole.
Yes, Nude. Nude.
I'm so sorry, Neverland, but I'm going to follow up Jekyll's pick with another I-DLE comeback. To preface, I really appreciate what Soyeon was doing with Nude conceptually, and she really succeeded in delivering her message. What falls short for me is the execution of the song itself. If you didn't know, in the chorus, Soyeon includes a sample inspired by the classical music piece Habanera from the famous opera Carmen. While the sample makes sense conceptually, the pseudo-brass and string-sounding instrumental sounds really awkward to my ears. When put in context with a top line of intermittent vocals interspersed throughout, the chorus leaves nothing to really hold on to. There isn't a compelling melody or instrumental which drives the chorus forward. I do think the second half is better though, with its longer vocal phrases. Also, I find the lyrics awkward at many points. The difficulty with writing song lyrics is that they have to serve two purposes. They must have compelling meaning, and they must sound good and catchy to the ear. Again, I enjoy the message and concept Soyeon picked, and the meaning of the lyrics is touching. My issue is that there are places where the words and syllables sound awkward. I'm primarily talking about the chorus, where the word nude, an unpleasant sound to the ears, is repeated continuously. This awkwardness can also be seen in the introduction and first verse, where the long phrase "think outside the box" is crammed into a really short time to fit the line, and Yuki repeats an abrasive word with strong P and K syllable sounds again and again. Even if I can't understand the lyrics, I can judge whether or not the combination of syllables used in the lyrics sound good together, which they don't in Nude, in my opinion. Despite enjoying the concept and direction I took with this comeback, I have difficulty adding Nude to playlists because of these issues.
My third pick is Loona's post-Queendom special summer title, Flip That. My main issue with this release is the chorus. It's boring beyond belief. I like the production in the verses, especially the first verse. There's a lot of layering, and I particularly like the textures the higher instrumentals provide over rhythmic patterns in the bass and percussion. And then you get to the chorus, and it just cuts all of that away and sticks with only the basics. Rhythms, a bit of synth, and vocals. It's just so underwhelming. There's no direction for the lines in the chorus, and though I do enjoy some of the other sections, the chorus just doesn't keep me in it for long enough to pay off. Everything in this song is just too muted, and for me this means that Flip That just falls flat. Honestly, after Queendom, the absolute last direction Loona should have gone was Flip That. To me, it just feels like a waste of all the direction that Loona got on Queendom, especially when you compare it to some of the other post-Queendom releases. Flip That plays to basically none of Loona's strengths as a group. Sure, there are some nice moments for the vocal line to work, but you have to pretty much wait until the bridge and the third chorus for any of those moments to really hit. The performance factor is minimal, especially compared to Loona's more recent work, and there just isn't enough in this track for me to really vibe with it.
What you looking at? 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 I'm fearless.
For my fourth pick, I've selected Sserafim's debut, Fearless. I know this song had a number of people who disliked it for being underwhelming at the time of its release, but I feel the choreography went viral enough that the song should undoubtedly be thought of as widely popular, and therefore I feel comfortable criticizing it for being overrated. I don't have anything particularly innovative to say here. I agree with the people who say the track is underwhelming, especially as you reach the bridge and final chorus and realize the track has built to nowhere. I don't say this just because Fearless is a relatively low energy track. I enjoy plenty of lower energy tracks which have dynamic production, such as the work put out by New Jeans and Akmu. The issue is that Fearless doesn't have character. The function of a debut is to introduce the members to the public, and having listened to Fearless, I don't have a great sense of the identity of the members. In other words, I don't think the song would have changed at all if another group sung it, because the personality of the girls wasn't considered in its presentation. It doesn't feel like a good introduction to the group. I don't know if that makes any sense, but this has been my feeling about this track since its release.
Okay, hear me out. I'm an SM stan. I like NCT Dream. I have Beatbox downloaded on my phone, and it's in a couple of my playlists. The song itself is pretty solid. My problem, though, is that given Dream's musical direction, especially lately, Beatbox just feels like it's taking a few steps back. At points in Dream's career, I doubted whether they really had a distinct musical identity that separated them from units like 127. Early Dream was very different, but in the middle there, they had a few eras that sounded too similar to either mainstream K-pop like Boom, or to 127's identity like Riding. Boom just doesn't do enough to be interesting, and Riding just is way too much in my opinion. I feel like they really found their footing after Hot Sauce, and with Moonshine at the helm of their production team, Dream's sound grew into this sort of like synth, grunge, experimental sound that was bright and refreshing and different, and this was really highlighted by recent releases like Hella Future and Glitch Mode. Don't get me wrong, Beatbox has elements of that sound in the synth that run through the track, and the breakdown from the bridge to the end, but for me, it just takes a step too far out of an identity that was really working for them. It feels like Dream, but it also doesn't. And I really, really, really like what Moonshine does when they produce for Dream. And I think that's why I can't really get into this song. So no, Beatbox isn't bad. Yes, I do Jisung's cool hand choreo from time to time. I can enjoy this song, sometimes.
So for our last pick of this video, we both selected After Like by IVE as one of the most overrated comebacks. The reason I personally picked After Like is because I saw a lot of people put this as their favorite IVE title track for this year, over Love Dive and 11, and I just couldn't disagree more. Both 11 and Love Dive have interesting production choices which lend uniqueness and character to the catchy compositions. After Like is bland by comparison and relies solely on its catchiness and wide general appeal. In my eyes, it's definitely the weakest of IVE's 3 title tracks.
I definitely agree with everything Hyde said. For me, After Like just gets especially bogged down by the fact that it was released after Love Dive, which is one of my favorite songs of the year. The production on Love Dive is fun and dynamic, and that doesn't really carry over into After Like. There just isn't anything really going for it when you compare it to the other far stronger title tracks. These were our picks for the most overrated comebacks of 2022. What do you think? Do you agree? Disagree? Any other songs you'd put on this list? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. And again, thanks for watching.